Julie Johnson, and this is our third yoga class offered by the Allegheny County Library and their partnership with Stretch Your Body, Stretch Your Mind. We today are going to stretch out horizontally on our backs. If you have a sticky mat and feel like getting down on the floor today, stretch it out. If you feel like getting down on the floor but you don't have a sticky mat, maybe find a place with a carpet and maybe put a blanket underneath you just for a little extra cushioning. If you don't feel like getting down on the floor but you feel like stretching out and doing some yoga, might I suggest your bed. Now you can't do all yoga poses in the bed, but there are many that you can do. The only one I can think of would be probably bridge, not to do in the bed, and we may or may not do that today. The other things you may want to get is a strap. We are going to do some hip rotator postures using a strap. If you don't have a strap, a long scarf or a bathrobe tie would work just beautifully. Other things, a pillow. As we stretch out, you may notice that it would feel good to have a pillow under your head, at least for a portion of the practice, and then a blanket. A blanket can also serve if you fold it up as a pillow, and it's also nice to cover up as well. So let's begin. We're going to start stretching out on our backs. I'm going to move this so that you can see me here. A nice way to come to your backs without kind of rounding the back and rolling back, which may be a little uncomfortable for you, is to kind of come on one hip and then come down on forearm and kind of roll over and come to your back. Take a moment, kind of wiggle around, just move around, and then come to a nice place where you feel like you can let go and relax here for a few moments, a few breaths while we just begin to turn inward. If you notice as you're laying down that your chin is jutting up and it's a little higher than your forehead, then get that pillow or get that blanket and put it underneath, not all the way underneath your head, but just like not around your neck and shoulders, but just around the top of your head. And what that does is it drops your chin a little bit. It also helps the shoulders to relax back. So just see what you need there. And then we've started here with our knees bent, our feet on the mat. Now you can see, again, we're checking in with ourselves. We're checking in with ourselves in the present time, the present moment. So just see how it feels to stretch out one leg and then the other. And if you feel any discomfort, particularly in the lower back, then go ahead and bend those knees again and bring the feet to the mat. That just releases the back a little bit. So once you've kind of shimmied around, moved around, come to your breath. Soften that belly. And bring a hand to that belly if you want. And as you inhale, take a self-breath. Slow, even, long, full breath in. And a long releasing breath out. Inhale through the nose for a few rounds. And then exhale through the mouth as if you're tightening the back of your throat, fogging up a mirror. And if you have that hand on the belly, you may notice that as you inhale, keeping that belly soft and relaxed, you're taking a fuller breath, breathing down into the belly, feeling that belly rise slightly. And then as you exhale, making the sound of the ocean, feeling the belly lower down. So just take a couple of rounds of these breaths, these nice full self breaths, And exhale. Long releasing exhalations. And you may notice as you're laying here, taking these more complete breaths, that you're beginning maybe to begin to relax, feeling the support of the ground beneath you. And perhaps as you exhale, releasing tensions, toxins, letting go, creating space for that next wave of breath, that you can also allow yourself the freedom to release and relax a little bit more, softening the face, letting the tongue float, shoulders relaxing back, and then just come back to your natural rhythm of breathing now. And notice that. Notice where you feel the breath in the body as you breathe in. And then notice how it feels to release and relax and to let go as you exhale. And the breath is often said to be the anchor that keeps us in the present moment. It's the nature of the mind to move from that present moment, to go back into the past or to fast forward into the future. And so as we practice yoga, we can connect with that breath, and that will help us notice in the quietness of when the mind has left the present moment, and perhaps change that breath just a little bit. Maybe take another breath in through the nose and exhale through the mouth, just to remind yourself to return to the present moment. And then just notice, take a brief scan of the body, noticing areas that feel comfortable, relaxed and open. Notice areas that maybe would like a little more attention, areas that feel tight or tense, uncomfortable, perhaps painful. Just notice that, resisting the temptation to label as good or bad. It just is in this moment. And then we're going to start to move the body, to stretch the body, to coordinate our breath with our movements. And if you're new to yoga, just focus on breathing. If you focus too much on my instructions to inhale a certain movement, exhale another movement, if you're like me, you're going to start holding your breath. So just approach this with intention to notice the body, to listen to the body, and just to see what is. So let's start with our knees bent, feet on the mat or on the bed if you're reclining there. And we're going to do a few gentle pelvic tilts, just moving the lower portion of the spine, but you may also notice that the rest of the spine moves slightly as well. So bringing those hands a nice distance from the body, turning the palms up. As we exhale, and this is a small movement, let me repeat, you're going to tuck the tailbone under just slightly so the small of the back just gently presses into the mat. And then as you inhale, you're going to release that, come back to your neutral spine, and then if it's comfortable, lift that tailbone. So now you have a little exaggerated curve there in the small of your back. And if you like, you can envision a marble, a pretty marble, and put it on your navel. Let it sink down there. And then with your next inhale, as you lift the tailbone, breathing in, that marble is going to go down toward the pubic bone. As that tailbone lifts, you've got that curve there in your spine. And then as you exhale, tucking the tailbone under, that marble rolls back in toward the navel. And you can kind of try and drop that navel down just slightly to take a complete exhalation. And then when you're ready, soften that belly. Take a nice full inhalation, and that marble rolls down toward the pubic bone, and you've got that little exaggerated curve there. So just back and forth a few times. And as you're doing your pelvic tilts, just notice, if you notice, any movement of the head. And you may say, nope, I do not. If not, and you want to see if you do, you can bring your fingertips to either side of the head, and usually you can detect a small little movement there, which just shows that as the lower spine moves, so does the upper spine all the way through the head. Everything is connected. And then make your way back to center. Good. Lift your right foot off the mat and draw your right knee in toward your chest, and just let your fingertips rest lightly on your kneecap. And we're just going to make circles with this knee. We're just letting the fingertips rest lightly on the knees, just to offer a little attention. We're not gripping the kneecap. Just circling, lubricating that hip joint, warming up the muscles. And then reverse. We always reverse. Go the other way. Soft breath. Relax, soft face. One more circle around. And then as that knee comes in toward the chest, just gently hug that knee into the chest. You can interlace your fingers behind your thigh if you want. You can use that strap. Put it around that thigh. If when you try and interlace the fingers, your shoulders are hunched up, you want to just lengthen your arms by using that strap. Relax that right foot. And come back to that fuller breath now, just for a few rounds of breath. Softening the belly, inhaling, feeling the belly lift. Maybe gently pressing into your thigh. Feeling the ribs expand. And then as you exhale, again, a couple of sighs often can be a nice thing to do. That ocean breath fogging up the mirror. Especially as you're learning to take fuller, more complete breaths. That can be a nice way to do a couple of rounds of the exhale through the mouth, and then come on back to inhaling and exhaling through the nose. And then after your next exhalation, just release. Bring that right foot to the mat. Bring those arms out a nice distance from the body, and we're going to pause here. It gives us a moment for the body to rebalance, and also an opportunity for us to notice how that right side feels in comparison to the left. And then lift that left foot. Knee comes up. Let that left hand just rest lightly on the kneecap, and your circles again. Just gentle circles here. Soft breath. Just gentle movements. And then reverse as you're ready. One more circle around. And then hug that left knee into the chest, interlacing the fingers around the thigh or using that strap. This side may feel very different. That is more normal than you would think. And coming back to these self breaths in, slow, even, long, full breaths in. And then long, releasing exhales out. Not forcing. If you find that you're straining or you feel like you can't get it right, just let go of that effort. You're here, you're breathing. And then when you're ready, you can come back and give it another try. It took me a very long time to kind of get it in terms of the breath. And then after your next exhale, release and bring that left foot back to join the right. Bring those arms out a nice distance from the body. And just take a nice full breath in and a long breath out. Good. Now we made our 2 individual circles, so we're going to join and make like a figure 8 on its side. So bring both knees into the chest and have the knees and the ankles together. Those fingertips again lightly resting on the kneecaps. Draw the knees in toward the body, no forcing, and you want the hips still to be, you don't want to rock up. You want the knees and the sacrum to be released into the ground. And as you begin to inhale, keeping the legs together, let the knees move away from the body, the arms lengthen, and then separate those legs, circle them out to their respective sides. And then as you exhale, bring the knees back in toward the chest, legs together. Inhale, knees away, out to the sides. And as you exhale and kind of drawing that navel to the spine, maybe the thighs can come in a little bit closer. Resist the urge to steer and to grip with your hands again. The fingertips, really, they can just dance on the kneecaps if you want. And if you lose touch with them, that's okay too. And then the next time the knees are in toward the body, then reverse. Go the other way. One more circle. After the circle you're on. And then bring those knees on into the chest. Relax the elbows, the shoulders. And if you'd like, you can rock from side to side a couple of times. You can also rock vertically. Little boat, like a little boat tied to a dock. It's just gently rocking. And then release. And bring one foot to the mat. And then the other. Bring those arms out a nice distance from the body. And take a full breath in. And a long breath out. Good. We're going to move into windshield wipers. A gentle twist of the spine. So bring those arms a little higher up, about shoulder height. Have the feet hip width apart. Or a little bit wider, and the knees pointing up. And as you exhale, just let those knees drop over to the right. There's a slight pause at that bottom of the exhalation before the inhalation begins. Take that moment, that pause, just to really relax those knees, those legs. And then as you inhale, bring those knees back to center. Exhale, the knees can release to the left, opposite direction. And if you want, and if it's comfortable today, you can turn the head in the opposite direction. There are days when it does feel good, and there are days when I keep that head right, facing the ceiling. On occasion, I'll let the head release in the direction of the knees. This is your practice. There's no such thing as one yoga fits all. When I began to practice, I started because I had migraine headaches, and I would leave classes with more tension than when I came in. But I would go home because I so wanted to eradicate those migraines, and I would practice at home, and I would make my own modifications, and that made all the difference in the world. And then after your next stretch over to the left, make your way back to center. And again, take a moment, take a breath, a nice full breath in, feeling that belly expand, maybe the ribs, possibly the collarbones, and then exhale. Release, relax, allowing the body to relax and release maybe a little bit more, soften into the earth. And then bring those arms up toward the ceiling just for a moment. And have softness in the elbows, the wrist. You can let the hands kind of drape down the fingertips like raindrops or snowflakes, as the case may be. And then just rotate the wrist a few times in one direction and then go the other way. And then we're going to bend the elbows. And the elbows are going to be a little lower than shoulder height. And just rest the hands on the forearms, somewhere in between the elbows and the wrist. I call this I Dream of Jeannie. If you ever saw that show, it depends on how old you are. And then we're going to kind of do a twist here with the elbows. Not really a twist, but just a side-to-side movement. Letting those hands just rest as opposed to gripping. You can let them release over to the sides with that exhalation. And then as you inhale, coming back up to center, exhaling. We exhale usually when we're kind of headed toward the earth. The inhale, kind of like a helium balloon coming back to center. So just feel that stretch there. And then make your way back to center. And keeping the hands there. Again, you can always adjust if you start to feel stress or tension through the shoulders. And make kind of a circle or maybe an oblong, letting those arms go over to the right, up above the shoulders, maybe somewhere over the face, to the left, and then down lower than the shoulders. Hands just resting. Getting a nice massage there through the top of the shoulders, the upper back. And then go the other way. Come back to center. Let those hands float back up toward the ceiling. And again, make a few circles. Go the other way. You can let the arms kind of float. I call this seaweed. And then let the hands start to float down until they're gently resting on the ground. And again, take a moment here. Take a breath. If the mind has wandered, you can note what you're thinking and then see if you can just let that go. You can always return to that thought later. Or you can just acknowledge thinking. And then come back to the moment. Having those arms out shoulder height again, we're going to do another twist here. We're going to do barn door. So place your right ankle on your left knee. Now if this is not comfortable, it's too hard on the hips, you can try walking that left foot a little further away. If that still is not doing it, for hurting the knee, the hip, listen to the body. Don't let the mind tell you you can do it. Please don't. Let the mind and the body work together. you can bring that right ankle to the left ankle. And we're going to do the same movement as we did with the windshield wipers. We're going to exhale, letting those legs drop to the right. The inhale brings them back to center. Exhale, the other side. Looking over the opposite shoulder if you want. So just deciding what variation of this pose works for you today. The next time you try it, it could be completely different. And again, using that pause at the bottom of the exhalation, without holding the breath, just a natural pause to practice, oh, can I let go? I didn't realize I was holding there. It's amazing the awareness that comes with yoga. And if you're going from side to side and you've released over to the side and you maybe need a little assist because you don't want to overwork your back, just use that hand. Like I'm over at the left side, just use that left hand to kind of help bring you back to center. And then the exhale over to the right. I'm just going to kind of help assist. Bring those legs back to center. So just a couple of more times. Relaxing the shoulders. Notice the tongue. If it's against the roof of the mouth, let it float. Come to a natural stopping point. Coming back to center. And once you're there, bringing that right knee into the chest, interlacing those fingers behind the thigh. If it's comfortable, around the shin, but you don't want to overdo that with your knee. If when you do this, you have your fingers around the thigh and the shoulders are hunched up, get that strap. Hold it. Just extend your arms. Relax that right foot. And just take a couple of breaths here. And then as you exhale, release that right foot down. We're going to pause here. Bring those arms out a nice distance from the body. Take a breath or two here. Again, a moment of awareness of turning inward just to see how the body feels, particularly the right and the left side. And then barn door on the other side. Arms back out, shoulder height. Left ankle on right knee or left ankle on right ankle. You may have an ankle on a knee on one side and an ankle on the other side. Our sides are very different, like I said before. Exhalations, release the legs to the sides. Inhale, coming back to center, using a little assist if you need to. And if it's comfortable, releasing the head in the opposite direction. Pausing momentarily, just for maybe just a nanosecond. Practice releasing, relaxing, and softening during that pause as the legs release to the sides. Shoulders relax. And you're getting a nice massage through the lower back as well. And this is a shoulder opener. Shoulders releasing into the mat. We tend to drive and we're at our computers kind of hunched over and our spine begins to round. So this is a wonderful way to work to counter that. Opening the chest, releasing the back body. Just a few more, maybe taking your time. And then making your way slowly back to center. And bringing that left knee into the chest, interlacing the fingers around the shin if that's comfortable, behind the thigh, or using a strap. And taking a couple of breaths here. Relaxing that left foot, relaxing the shoulders, the face. Noticing the breath. And then release and bring that left foot to the mat. Bring the arms a nice distance from the body and take a breath in and a breath out. We're going to do one more pose, maybe two. Find your strap or your bathrobe tie or your scarf. Unroll it if you've gotten it rolled. Put the strap around the ball of the right foot and bring that right leg up toward the ceiling. Now put it around the ball as opposed to the instep. It doesn't matter where this foot is in relation to the ceiling. Hamstrings can get very tight from all the time that we sit, and that's really kind of what makes us not be able to extend our legs long. This is morning for me. I haven't done very much, so my hamstrings are just a little tight. So just find where you are. If your foot is more at a diagonal, that is just fine as well. Hold that strap loosely. Notice I am letting it move. It's not a runaway horse that you have to hold on tightly. Let that left arm just relax out by your side and start making circles here. Whichever direction you want, because we're going to go in the opposite direction. Slowly move toward your full range of motion. The leg goes up, more or less, toward the ceiling, out to the sides. And then you can see if you can lower that leg a little bit more. Extend that foot as the leg moves away from you. You're lubricating the hip joint. You're helping to lengthen and strengthen both the hamstrings, the muscles behind the thigh, and the quads, the muscles in the front of the thigh, as well as the calf muscles, the Achilles tendon. Just a real gentle flowing movement, as if you're moving through water. And then the next time that leg is up toward the ceiling, go the other way. Again, loosening your grip. I started to notice how often I grip things, like the steering wheel. You do need a nice firm hold on the steering wheel as you're driving, but you don't need to grip it and hold it. When that happens, a lot of times all that tension transfers up to the shoulders, the neck, the jaw. So you hold it tight enough so the strap doesn't fall off your foot, but not so tight that you can't relax here. Take one more circle, bring that leg up toward the ceiling. And then just bend that knee. Slip that strap off the right foot. Bring that right foot to the mat. Bring the arms out a nice distance from the body. Take a breath in. And a long breath out. Sigh it out if you want. Taking that pause to notice, and then finding that strap, which should be very handy now, placing it around the ball of the left foot, bringing that leg up, and again, this hip, this leg may feel like they're not even related. Hold the strap lightly and start your circles. doesn't matter where you are in this pose, you're getting the full benefits because you've started where you are. You're honoring your body. You're honoring your life, really. And where you are in this moment. Keeping the breath soft. Take one more circle around. And then go in the other direction. Relaxing the shoulder, that face, letting the eyes float. One more circle around. And then bring that leg up toward the ceiling just for a moment. And then release. Bend that left knee, just slip the strap off the foot. Bring that left foot to the mat and you can set that strap aside. And come back to center, bringing the arms out a nice distance from the body. And taking a nice full breath in and a long breath out. That breath available to us at all times. And then we're going to bring our knees back to our chest. One knee and then the other, hand lightly on each knee. And as you exhale, just gently draw the knees in toward the chest, just as far as is comfortable, keeping the sacrum, the fused portion of the spine, down on the ground, not rocking up. And then when you're ready to inhale, moving those knees away, arms lengthen. So the exhale, draw that navel toward the spine. That gives you a little extra room to kind of snug in there with the thighs. And then as you begin to inhale, knees move away, the belly rounds. Just a couple of times here. And then the next time the knees come into the chest, you can gently pulse that little boat if you'd like, or rock from side to side, or a little bit of both. And then release one foot to the mat, and then the other. Bring the arms out a nice distance from the body. And we started with pelvic tilts, and that's where we'll end before moving into relaxation. So you can pull out that little marble if you want, put it between your pubic bone and navel. And as you exhale, tuck the tailbone under. Marble rolls toward the navel as the small of the back presses into the mat. And relax that belly for a nice full inhalation, lifting the tailbone. Marble rolls toward the pubic bone. Just a few times here. And then make your way back to center. And now for relaxation, you can keep the knees bent with the feet on the mat if that's more comfortable for your lower back. And you might want to let the knees, maybe step the feet a little wider apart, let the knees drop in toward one another. If it's comfortable, you can stretch the legs out long. Another option is to stretch the legs out long, and if you have a rolled up towel or another yoga mat that's rolled up, you can put it underneath your knees. So just take a moment, decide where you want those legs. Move the arms out a nice distance from the body. Just do any little wiggling, any moving. Take a nice full breath in and long breath out. This is sometimes said to be the hardest yoga pose because what is asked of you is to do nothing. to release and to relax the weight of the body into the support of the ground. To allow the breath to breathe on its own. And for the mind to quiet. So just be aware of the ground beneath you, the surface beneath you. Allow the body, just maybe breath by breath, relaxing the belly as you inhale and as you exhale, an opportunity to soften, release a little bit more. Allow the skin of the eyes to soften so that the eyes can just rest in their sockets. Relax the hinge of the jaw, allowing the teeth to part slightly and the tongue to float. The shoulders to relax back. The heart to open. And you're welcome to stay here as long as you want. But when you're ready, you can come back to that breath again, taking a full breath in and a long releasing breath out. Begin to make small movements, maybe wiggling fingers and toes, moving hands and feet, stretching, just moving in any way that feels good. And then bending the knees and rolling to either direction, whichever is more comfortable for you. Rolling to that side, staying there just for a moment. This is the transition pose, the pose between yoga practice on the mat and yoga practice off the mat. And then as you're ready, keeping the head nice and soft and relaxed, press up, slowly making your way to sitting. Bringing hands to heart, thumbs lightly touching the sternum. Taking a breath in and a breath out. And may we know our blessings and bow humbly in gratitude. Namaste.